absolute wreck today. Look at this hair. So I straightened my hair earlier and had it pinned up, but yeah. Anywho, guys, hi, good evening. If you didn't watch today's earlier live stream, you should make sure you check that out later. I am definitely starting to look my age, let me tell you. But anyway, got the incubator going. We've got 16 chicken eggs in there, 1 turkey egg. So we're hoping that tomorrow we'll be able to add another turkey egg to the mix. The goal is to have the 2 turkeys, but that will be one of those things where we're hoping that we get one tomorrow, but if not, hopefully on Friday. And then my neighbors will be leaving on Friday afternoon, so they're having their daughter check on Friday to see if there's a turkey egg in the evening. Otherwise, we're all kind of just like, okay, well, if we only end up with the 1 turkey, my little turkey buddy will end up having to be with one of the chickens. And so we have one of the chickens that are in there, one of the eggs, and we're just going to cross our fingers right now, and everybody do the same, please, that the little tiny egg that's in there, we have this really tiny egg in there. We think it might be a silky mix, because she's pretty sure one of her other chickens that hatched, the silky rooster, got one of her Easter eggers, and the chick that came from that breeding ended up being a silky mix, silky Easter egger mix. And she is really tiny hen, and she laid a really tiny egg. We're hoping that that silky mix chicken and the silky rooster ended up with this little tiny egg that's in there. If that one makes it to hatch day, which is, they are due to hatch on the 4th. Let's see here, we're gonna have 18, 19, 20, 21. So it'd be 28. So they're due to hatch on the 4th. If they hatch on the 4th of March, and that one makes it to hatch day, that little bitty one will be paired up with the turkey. And the reason for that is turkeys are a bit more fragile when they're hatched. Even though they're a bigger bird than a chicken, they're much more fragile than chickens are. Chickens are a bit sturdier, but turkeys not so much. They're a bit, less like strong. And my neighbor said they're kind of wussy. They're very wussy little birds when they're first born, when they first hatch. So chickens are quite mean to them in the beginning. So yeah. Then go the fuck away. Bye. So you can go have fun with your damn self. Nobody gives a shit about you either, dude. Too old to fuck with people's stupidity. So, but anyway, I don't give a shit. I mean, come in and see us, cool. Hi, T-Bone. Thanks for subbing. As you can tell, 2025 is the year that I'm not putting up with people's stupid shit. Why come here if you want to be stupid? Like, I'm talking about homesteading and whatnot. And my kitchen's actually clean, so thanks. But anyway, I'm over here, talking about raising chickens. Anywho, so with the turkeys, they're not as, strong as chicks are. So you can't put them together, like all together. Yeah, I know. They're right in there. You got some too? Yeah. So tonight, why is it whenever I do a live stream in the evening, all the absolute pieces of crap come out of the woodwork? This is 2025. Go find something to do with yourself that actually might benefit you. instead of being, you know, total pieces of garbage. Hi, Kim. Hi, Tiffany. How are you tonight? Just, I don't understand seeking out to go just be rude to people. Like, whatever. There's easily able, like, the ability to just bye. So I'm telling you, like, these people just come out of the woodwork all night long. But anyhow, so with talking with my neighbor, we went ahead and we've decided that we're not going to put the turkey, the single turkey, in with any of the with like the group of chickens, because it will be 1 week younger than the chicks, but the one chick will be the smaller chick. So we're hoping that because it's much smaller and it'll be by itself, we'll go ahead and just, you know, put those two together. But yeah, tonight is just so much, you know, like this is just, you know, one of those things. Anyway, yes, chickens. One, raising them is a lot of fun. I also enjoy consuming chicken and eggs. So no, you can't. I don't sing. So that's not happening here. I do sing, but like not publicly. I love music and stuff, but that's not happening here. But anyway, we don't get any yet. My chickens, I don't know. We can't play music on here, so I don't know why you would request a song. But anywho, our chickens aren't laying yet. Not for you to sing. But what do you want the song for? Like, we can't play music on here. This is YouTube. They have like copyright type stuff. But our chickens are, the older chickens are only 20 weeks old, so they should start laying any day now. We only have 10 hens, so that would be like, if all of them lay every day, that would be 10 eggs a day, but that's kind of not how it usually works. Out of the 10 hens, I would suspect we're going to get somewhere between 7 and 8 eggs a day. I would be shocked if we got 10 eggs every day once they start laying. But that's up in the air. But we've got 8 more babies in the nursery right now that are getting all feathered in and stuff. Those guys will go outside first week of March. They will be 6 weeks old then, so our temperatures will be on the warmer side at that point. We're already on the warmer side. We've been in the mid 60s, so they should be fully feathered, and they'll be going into the integration hut, and so they'll go in there with the big girls. The integration hut is inside of the big coop. This will allow them to integrate and meet each other, see each other through the fencing, but not be able to get injured or whatnot by the older girls. And they'll stay in there roughly an entire month, possibly 6 whole weeks. They'll stay in the integration station just for their safety of the big girls. We did a 2-week stay last time with the younger group. Now they're okay, but in the beginning, when we first released them out with the bigger girls, we end up having to separate them again because the older girls, even though their size-wise was like they were only a 3, almost 4-week age difference, the older girls were just really mean to the younger ones. They're fine now that we've removed the roosters from the flock. The older girls and the younger ones are finally integrated with each other, the 10 of them. And I think having the 2 males there that are kind of keeping order with the girls, it's worked out pretty well. But we have 16 chicken eggs in the incubator now. I just tuned in. What branch were you in? If you don't, I was in the Air Force. So I served Air Force 7 years. But I have 16 eggs in now, 1 turkey egg. Have I ever eaten one? Like eaten one of mine? Not yet. They're not old enough yet. We are actually processing roosters tomorrow. We have 4 roosters we are processing tomorrow. We can't keep all the roosters. Like right now, we're not gonna be able to do that. We just don't have the the stuff set up to keep the roosters separated. So our 4 that are not going to be with the girls, we have them separated in like a small little enclosed coop. Because those 4 boys have proven that they are really just not very kind to the girls. And the 2 roosters we've chosen to keep are very gentle with the ladies and have been super, super well behaved with their girls. We only have 10 hens. And so the math ratio that they prefer you have is 10 hens to 1 rooster. But because we have 8 more chicks that are going to go out in 4 weeks from now, they should be good to go. That'll have 18 hens out there for the boys, the 2 boys that we're keeping. So we shouldn't see any problems. Right now, there's not any problems with the 2 of them because the 1 rooster is quite large in size. Even though they were all hatched at the same time, they're all like a backyard mix. So the 1 rooster is huge. And then the other rooster, he's quite small. He's like about the same size as the hens. So we have both of them there. Because both of them are such sweet, gentle boys, we've decided to keep those 2. The other 4, the 1 is an absolute horror of a rooster. He's absolutely terrifying and mean, which my neighbor warned me about. And she was like, I did not mean for you to get one of the naked necks. They're her daughter's chickens. And so she was like, even the hens, the naked neck hens are absolute terrors. And so I was like, okay, well, I thought, okay, well, if it is a chick or a hen, then it'll be fine. Well, I'll handle it a lot. It ended up being a rooster, and it is an absolute terror. And it not only is it mean to me, it's extremely mean to the girls. It was pecking the girls, pulling the girls' feathers out of their neck area. He's also gotten to the point where he's now trying to pick fights with the other roosters, even though they all hatched together. The other roosters get along fine, but they're really mean to the girls. And so those 4, they're nice and big now. They're nice and ready to go. They're young enough that we can actually use them for roasting. Versus if we waited for them to get to like a year old, then they'd only be really good for like soups and making bone broth and possibly for dog food. But yeah, so these guys we haven't enjoyed yet, but I can tell you that we will be processing the 4 tomorrow, and so one of them will be will be roasted over the weekend. We went to Greece to visit extended family, had 2 roosters that would scream all day. On the last day, I didn't hear it, went downstairs and saw a chicken. Yep. Yep. Spit roasting. That's right. And you know what? Like, that's the thing is we're homesteading, right? So we're building our homestead here. And yes, there's things we still have to get from like the grocery store, stuff like that. But that's also a 45-minute drive for us. Yeah, y'all cooked them. Now, I get a kick out of it every morning because when you're in the house, you don't hear them because they're pretty far out on the property. So we have quite a good distance between our house and the coop. And then my neighbors are pretty spaced out too. I even asked my neighbor today over here, hey, do you hear the roosters during the day? Like, do you hear them? Because they don't always make a bunch of noise, but every now and again, they'll start calling back and forth with the other roosters at the other property with my other neighbor where I get my eggs from. And they'll have conversation back and forth. And I've got 6 roosters. So when one gets going, they all decide they have to chime in, which is quite hysterical. But I spend a lot of time out there with them, so I get a kick out of it. But they don't call a lot, like all day long. But I think it's just because we have such a big open space that they don't really have to. And then the big guy over there gets going. And so my babies get going. But yeah, so with building a homestead and getting this whole thing going, I know, like we already went ahead and took care of a bird, processed a bird about a week ago. And we did that, have not consumed that one. But that one was a bit on the younger side, wasn't very happy with having to do that, but that one was extremely aggressive, like extremely aggressive. And that one had to go. We couldn't even house it with the other boys. And so it had to go. But The other ones are going tomorrow. They're at that 20-week stage, and it's time to, you know, say goodbye to them. Right? Um, Hang around and find out. That's right. Hi, Jesse. But yeah, so 16 of them in there now. There's no guarantee that all 16 eggs will hatch. I will check them we'll check on day 3 and just check to see that they're actually showing some development. If we don't see anything, then I check them again on day 7. Day 7, that'll be definitive whether or not we've got ones that are fertilized versus ones that are non-fertilized. The fertilized eggs will show growth, right? You'll see a little blip on there. You'll see some veins. If you don't see that and it's just, you know, a clear egg with, you can see the yolk in, then you know that it's not fertilized, and therefore done. Y'all just used a flashlight and see through the bottom. Yeah, I actually have a candler, so it's on the incubator itself, but I also have an actual candler light, which is a lot higher beam than a regular flashlight, and it also is smaller around so that you can actually set the egg on it and blank out the light and have just the darkness of the room and just the light coming through the egg. So it allows you to look in there and see the progression. Doing good, Jesse. And so it allows you to get a good look at them. And there's ways of being able to tell whether or not the egg has, if there's nothing in the egg, then you know it wasn't fertilized. It means that the hen chose not to utilize what was offered to her by the rooster. And so she lays an egg that either, there's 2 things, right? So all the eggs that the hen lays are what we call fertile eggs. She's clearly fertile because she's laying eggs. Now, whether that egg has been fertilized is one thing, because hens, if they don't like the rooster, they will not use what he's given them. One of 2 things. She'll either just let that stuff die and not use it, or she will eject it from herself. Crazy information, right? She's doing good. She's actually doing good. She has some recovery still to go, but she is finally walking using a cane or her walker. But she's got some work to do with therapy to get her ankle motion back. I feel like we incubated chicken eggs in my kindergarten class. I don't know really why, because we were still learning ABCs, but I somehow remember. You know what's really funny is when I was in 1st grade, we incubated eggs in school. Oh, thank you guys for the hearts. So it was quite cool to be able to see that like whole process, but I don't remember a bunch of like how long it took. I think it felt like back then it felt like it took forever for the chicks to hatch. And then the chicks were only there for a day, and then of course they were gone. But that's just because now that I'm raising chickens, you realize that when they first hatch, by the way, you guys, they stay in the incubator for like the first 48 hours, right? So you can leave them in there for the first 48 hours. Now, I never leave them in the full 48. I usually take them out after 10 hours, depending on the, first of all, they have to be dry. They need to be dry and fluffed up before I remove them from the incubator. Once they're dry and fluffed up and no other egg is pipped, like if the other eggs have a pip in them, I don't touch the incubator. But if there's no pips, the other eggs are still sealed closed, then I quickly reach in and I'll grab them out, put them in the brooder. The brooder we have it in a specific room over here. So in my master bedroom, we have the big master closet. Now I have another room down the hall that I use for my office space and my closet space. Because this closet is so big, I have the incubator in there on one side, and then I have the big brooder box thing in there. So that way I can heat that room. I can heat this room without having to heat the whole entirety of the house. So I can keep that room nice and toasty and warm. That and butterflies. Yeah. Butterflies are always so much. We actually just did butterflies during the holiday for the baby. But that room stays nice and toasty warm, so the whole entirety of the room gets nice and toasted up, keeps the baby chicks nice and warm without having to have a direct light on them or a heat plate inside of the brooder box. So that's what I do. Yeah, the monarchs. Yeah, we ended up with 12 monarchs, and then we released them. So that was quite fun to get to do that with the baby. He didn't quite understand the whole process because he's only 2, but he really enjoyed getting to put all the butterflies on his hands before they flew away, and he really got a kick out of that. So we're gonna do more of those. It's really quite fun. Yeah, we're doing quite good. Having an amazing time with getting things started. So tomorrow, I tried today while I was live streaming, I was gonna try to put the temporary tarp on the pig pen, but the tarp is a 12 by 20, so 12 foot by 20 foot tarp. I'm 5 feet tall. The wind picked up significantly while I was out there today, and I was like, there's no way I'm putting that tarp up by myself. One, I'm probably gonna get taken for a ride if I open this tarp outside in the wind. My neighbor thought it was funny, so Bill said he'll come over tomorrow. We'll get the tarp on them because we're expecting rain or snow, either like not tomorrow, but Friday and Saturday. Now it says rain, but our temperature shows that we're gonna have a plummet in temperature, which is crazy here. Where we used to live, which is just over an hour and a half away, where we used to live versus where we are now, our temperature fluctuates massively. However, it's been in the 70s and like high 60s the last week and a half. This is February. What is happening? Also, the mountains that are in range of us, where we can look out at those mountains, usually by this time of year are covered in snow. People are usually up there booking little ski trips and booking hotels, like the cabin stays, to enjoy the snow. There isn't a stitch of snow on those mountains. We had snow though, third week, or like right after Inauguration Day, we had snow here, which kind of sent us all like, what is happening? Because we're not used to that. It didn't stick, but it snowed. I mean, it was coming down, and everything kind of got a dusting of it, and then it all went away. I'm now in Washington. Oh, you live in Washington State now. Oh my gosh, in Chicago. I'm in Arizona, just an FYI. So anyway, tonight is supposed to dip down to 35 and get back up to 60 degrees tomorrow, and then drop to 32 tomorrow night. Now, that's crazy because I'm not used to that, first of all. Secondly, our girls and stuff outside, if everybody's out here in Arizona, chickens do quite well once they're all feathered, okay? And we have them in an area that's draft free, so their area, part of their run is completely like walled in on 2 sides. And then the coop itself, which is where the boys are right now, I need that space back for the girls to be able to properly roost. So we have a second area kind of blocked off for the girls right now because of the mean boys. So we're going to process them tomorrow so we can have the internal part of the coop back. You went to a trout farm in Arizona. Wow. See, that's awesome. The trout farms are pretty cool. Your birthday's on Saturday? Well, happy early birthday. So we're going to be making an extended area onto our existing coop. That's going to be for the turkeys, or turkey at this point. But I think we're going to house it with a chicken, with the one small little chicken. Probably going to be a silky, which silkies are known for being absolute little sweethearts. So hopefully it's a little silky mix and it can stay with the turkey. And then, or cross your fingers, guys, that we get another turkey egg tomorrow, because we've already paid the neighbor for the eggs. And so she was just like, oh my gosh, she was so happy because she was like, the turkey's laid. And I was like, okay, well, keep the ones you're keeping first. Don't bring me eggs first. Take care of your guys' selves first. And she's like, I know. And so she was like, I'm going to keep 2 and I'll bring you the extra one. And then we should have another one. And this was a week ago. And the turkeys just quit again. Like, they're just like, nope. And so she was like, we still haven't gotten a second turkey egg for you. And turkeys don't do well by themselves. Like, they really don't do well. even if it's 2 females, 2 males, whatever, but turkeys need to be in pairs to really do well. So we're just like, so we're gonna like, as soon as we can get a turkey egg from her, whether it be tomorrow, whatever, but the little chicken is gonna stay with that turkey until we get a turkey egg to hatch. So that way that turkey is not by itself. So yeah, that's going to be fun. But we are going to do an extension area that's going to come off of the bigger run. So that way we can have the turkey in its own space, because chickens will attack a turkey. They aren't the nicest. You can house them together if they're all raised together, but you have to get the turkey past that first 4 weeks. Because of how fragile they are the first 4 weeks. Now, this is all new stuff I'm learning, and I'm doing a lot of research on it. So we want to make sure we take care of that. But yeah, so if you guys watched earlier, you would have seen me attempt to think I was going to go out there and put a 12-foot by 20-foot tarp over my 15 by 15-foot pig run. The pigs are kept in a enclosure. A pig pen, if you will, but it's 15 foot by 15 foot. And oh my God, my nose is itching so bad. But a 15 foot by 15 foot, and it should actually only be 10 foot by 10 foot, because my male pig is strictly a meat pig. He's being raised up for meat. And technically you want them in a smaller space to keep them nice and chunky. However, we gave them a bit more space because I know that we're going to breed Annie, which is our female. Now, our male pig is castrated. He's not, they're brother and sister. We don't want that. So Annie will be bred in July, and Pig will go to process in November. Now, any pig that we raise for butcher will be named Pig. Just so if you guys ever hear me refer to Pig, that is our dinner pig. So Pig will go to butcher in November. Now, Annie is, when we first got them, they were only 6 weeks old, and they were already roughly around 20, 25 pounds each. And he was much bigger than her. She looked so tiny next to him. And now she is beating him size-wise. She is roughly around 100 pounds now. They're only 6 months old. She's about 100 pounds, and he is right at about 90. So she a big old girl. She a big girl. And she's expected to get to about 260 to 300 pounds when she's full grown. And she will live her life out here. So if anybody's wondering, Annie will stay with us her entire life, right? So we will have her from 6 weeks old until her end of days. We will not process her. She will not be a dinner pig. Now, and there's a reason for that. And I know a lot of people be like, but that's a waste. Our thing is Annie is going to provide us with piglets each year. We're only going to breed her once a year. So if anybody's wondering, no, she will not have multiple multiple litters a year. That's cruel. She will be bred once a year. Each year we will raise up one of her piglets. The rest we will sell. We will raise one of her piglets that will be our freezer pig, right? So for our dinner pig. And then each year that she has a piglet, we will continue to do that process. Now, the year where we're not going to breed her anymore, we will raise 2 piglets. And that will be because we will pick one that will be our dinner pig and then one that will be our further producer from there. And so when it comes time for Annie to pass, because she's too old and whatnot, we will not be using her for meat. We will let her live out her retirement days here, because she will have given so much into the farm. And so we want to make sure that we honor her in that way. But with the chickens, our hens will be here until they are of no more laying age. Now, a lot of people, do yourself a favor if you ever decide to have chickens, and don't join the backyard chicken groups, because apparently in the backyard chicken groups, 90% of the people in those groups are strictly so that they have pet chickens. We're a homestead and we don't have pet chickens. Now, there's a couple of our chickens who have what we call a pardon. So they'll get to be here and live out their life. There's a reason for that because they each have a specific reason why they are who they are. But everybody else, all of our hens are dual purpose chickens, right? So all of our chickens that we are hatching are dual purpose. So every one of them, the roosters that we hatch out will be for whatnot. And then future wise, any of our roosters that we deem are absolutely perfect for future breeding, they'll get put in the rooster pen once it's finished. And it was so windy out. Yeah, it was bad. I ended up hanging out in the RV to show you guys kind of like how we have the like feed setup done. 500 pounds of feed is a lot of feed, and it's a whole process every day to get everybody's food sorted. And I do that process twice a day for the food. The chickens get treats in the afternoon, and then in the morning, the chickens I do their entire actual food setup. So the girls, for the most part, I've got to do feed each day, twice a day. But the roosters, I have a big feeder for them because I'm not going in and out of there over and over again with the roos. But with the girls and the two boys that are in the regular area, if you watched the live stream earlier, it was quite funny. I tried to get Ralph and pick him up to put him out with the ladies, when in fact, all he wanted me to do was just open the door for him. So that was quite hysterical because as soon as I went to grab him, he said, nope. And he flew right over me. Which it doesn't matter how used to your chickens you are. When one flies at you, it's still quite startling for two reasons. One, ouch, when they hit you with a wing. And two, ouch, when their nails catch you. They don't have any spurs yet. The boys don't. But dang, their nails are sharp. So when they take off over your head, it can be startling. Not that I'm scared of my chickens, because I'm not. The only one that I know that I've had beef with, that I have come toe to toe with, is Bo, and that's the naked neck. And we've butted, and he knows that I'm the boss. So he doesn't come after me anymore. But when the first time he did, and we had a moment. Let me tell you what. And an empty 1 gallon water bottle and that chicken met each other, and he did not it didn't hurt him because it's an empty water bottle, but the sound I think was enough for him to feel like, what was that? And since then, when I carry the water bottle, he's like, ooh. So he doesn't come near me with the water bottle. Oh God, reminds me of when it was in Greece and oh God, don't, I can't, those big ones, like the big water buggy cockroach looking things. Those things, nope, I can't stand those things. They creep me out. I've seen one too many of those things. I don't like them. I don't like them at all. Ugh. Yeah, never recover from that. I've had one of those fly at me. No, thank you. I will smash you with a shoe. Cause like, nope. Even if it was in a garage or something, I would still kill it. No, get out of here. You're disgusting. No, absolutely not. I hate those things. Ooh, you made my skin crawl. I can't with those things. Oh, they give me the heebie-jeebies. But anyhow, with the roosters, they get their food separate. I go in there, I fill that thing up, make sure their water's fresh, and then I just leave the boys be. Today I went out because I needed to get Ralph out of there today because little tiny Tanner, who's the size of all the girls, isn't really getting any job done. The girls they don't have a problem with him, but I think he's a bit of a shy boy, so he's super gentle with the ladies. But we need some, for lack of a better term, we need some mounting going on. We need the boys to do their job. And so let Ralph out, and within a 10-15 minute window, he was letting the ladies know, look, we got business to do. Girls, we got some stuff to take care of. And we had quite a few little moments. It's quite loud when the girls are like, what's happening? But they're fine. He's gentle with them. They're just not sure how to handle the whole situation because they're young and this is their first rodeo. But they'll be okay. But the chickens are dual purpose, which means that when the hens are no longer laying or they slow way down, and we don't count winter, by the way, guys, here on this farm, winter means there's going to be a slowdown in egg production. Normal. Anybody that is doing farming or doing homesteading, let your ladies take a break, first of all. Don't add extra lights to your coop. Don't try to extend your daylight hours. Let your ladies take a rest. It keeps them healthier for longer. Yeah, I don't like bugs. I don't mind like spiders and stuff like that because I kind of have a fascination with the way spiders work, but I don't like bugs. They give me the creeps. I love tarantulas. Daddy longlegs are one of my favorite type of spiders. They're just quite cool. But yeah, but I'm also really picky about what kind of spiders are allowed to come inside the house in any kind of given moment because some of them can be dangerous. So you got to be really careful, especially out here in the Arizona desert. But anywho, being on a dual purpose farm, you want your ladies to have that winter break. They're going to slow down, way down. Some of them may not lay at all through the entire winter. You may get like, go from like, right now we have 10 hens. We expect they're going to start laying here pretty soon. We're getting extended daylight hours. The months are starting to, the days are starting to stretch out. We're getting more daytime in the daytime. And the girls are all showing like their combs and their wattles are all turning red, which is the little things that are in there by their cheek and like right around their ear area and their around their eyes and their comb, which is the little thing on their foreheads. All of that will turn bright red when the girls get ready to start laying. Now, that's how you can tell if you have roosters in your group. Right at about, from all of mine, I look back at all my photographs because I have millions of photographs of the chickens through their first 2 months. And the boys' crowns and wattles all started showing bright red right at about 8 weeks of age, which is normal. The roosters will start to mature much quicker than the girls will. But hens will not have red crowns or anything until they're right about to start laying, which all my girls now have bright red combs. One of the girls is still on the more pink side. She's not quite there yet. So I think that, and that's Clara. She's not quite with the other girls on her color yet, but everybody else is starting to get really, really red, which is right when you know your hens are getting real close to laying eggs. So that's something you watch for. And then as the winter months roll in, your girls will start to turn a bit more pinkish, which everybody considers pale, as their combs and stuff start to go pale closer into the winter months. That's when you know they're going to slow down on production. So with 10 hens out there now, let's say I didn't get any more chickens, which we're not going to count these guys that are in here right now. Let's say those 10, right? We end up, let's say we get lucky enough to get 10 eggs a day. And we're doing fantastic, right? 10 eggs a day, boom, boom, boom. We're making cartons and cartons and cartons of eggs each week. Well, winter hits and you're going to be lucky if you, out of those 10 hens, if you see 2 eggs a day. Lucky. You will be absolutely lucky if you even remotely see 2 eggs a day. Possibly only 1. And some days, none. So there's going to be a stretch of time where you're going to have 0 eggs. So there's a couple different methods people have showed online. So there's the water glassing method. Hi, Heidi. So there's water glassing that you can do with your eggs to preserve them for scrambling or baking. You can't really hard boil them once they've been water glassed, but you can either scramble or bake them, use them for baking. And they'll last, like some people put them on their shelves up to 2 years. I'd probably only keep them just for the winter process before the next set of laying happens. But we can do that, or, which I don't have, so I'm not going to do that. But if I had a freeze dryer, then you take your eggs out and you can actually, crack your eggs, lay them, scramble them, like, you're going to scramble your eggs, lay them on your thing, and freeze dry them. Then when you're ready to use them, you add your water back to it and then scramble it in a pan. You can do that. But I think we'll water glass. It seems to be one of the quickest ways to do it, but also something I know we can do here. And we can water glass them and store them for the winter months to allow us to have eggs through the winter for scrambled eggs and for baking any kind of baked goods. But that's something with out here. So with homesteading, I've learned just stay away from the backyard chicken groups, because if you have questions about processing or getting rid of a horribly naughty rooster, you get a lot of people just rehome him, and it's like 50 cents an egg in Ohio. Jesus. Yeah, no, thank you. My neighbor right next to me, like who I get all my hatching eggs from, she also brings me a carton every single week of just eggs for cooking. So we have our little setup. So I pay her usually $5, and she's like, you don't need to pay me for these, because we kind of, we take care of each other around here. And we purchased our pigs from them, and they purchased their new boy. So he will be old enough and ready for breeding with Anne here in July. So, but yeah, it's just crazy to go from, if you've been here with us a while, like I've talked about purchasing property. We started looking at houses. Oh gosh, I go back in the vlogs. Geez, we've been all over the place looking at different things. And one of the things, we almost ended up settling for buying a house like in a development, which would have been absolutely a big no-no for us, because I absolutely talked about, we want to be able to have chickens. We want to be able to raise farm animals here and whatnot. So I did a lot of fighting, and I think I talked about it on here quite a few times about the process with the VA and the struggle I had with, seeing as I had some injuries that I sustained while active duty, and we were fighting for medical coverage for certain things, having to fight the VA to get appointments. Like, it was a whole mess. And so if you've been with us for a while, you know that we left our house in 2020, moved into an RV. Yeah, and I'll tell you about that here in a minute, Heidi. So we moved into the RV. We ended up, Sarah and I were so happy living in that. I couldn't even explain to you guys how liberating and freeing through 2020 and the whole, panini of 2020 that went on, that Sarah and I felt so liberated and free. And for the first time, I think both of us found a really happy space in our life living in the RV. And it was not the best situation, let me tell you what. But I mean, anything that could keep going wrong with that RV kept going wrong. However, Sarah and I were so happy, so happy. We had the funnest time together. We experienced some of the best times together. She's actually in bed. So the baby's asleep, she's asleep. But we had the most amazing time doing that. Then I started working for my pops, and we ended up moving up to my grandpa's property, took the RV up there. We ran into some more issues with the RV, and I ended up finally just selling it because it was more work than what we were looking to put into it, especially for the year that it was and the space we needed with it. So we sold that one, and I put that money away, which is how we ended up getting Big Bertha over there outside, the one that you guys have seen us in as well, because we lived all of the last part of 2021. We ended up purchasing it in 2021 and moved into it in the beginning of 2022 and stayed in that from 2022 until 2023. So we were in that for Carlisle's first entire year. And then we moved into the house on the property that we were staying at. And we stayed in the house and managed the RV property for the year. And while doing that, I was going through a whole bunch of other stuff. We talked about all of that. Not anything bad, just financially putting things aside, putting things away, storing things, and looking into purchasing. And one of the things we kept running into during that time was the fact that a lot of the properties that we went to look at were owned, like the land was leased land. So the house you were purchasing, but you weren't buying the land. And so I was like, would absolutely not. I don't want to lease land. I want to own it. Oh yeah, it says me and yeah, you remember that where we started tasking in January. Oh wow, awesome. Hopefully she's doing good. So we ended up coming out here to this property, and I think this was in February. Yeah, in February of 2024. We decided to talk with our realtor, and I said, look, we want to look at like actual property. I don't want stop taking me to property that's leased. And he said, so you want like you want to own the property. I said, I want to own the land. When I purchase my home, we want to own the land because we are going to homestead. We are going to farm that land. We are going to plant on that land. We are going to have animals on that land. I don't want restrictions from my neighbors or the city to decide, or whoever owns the land to decide to sell to, I don't know, whatever. Let's say they want to put a friggin' parking garage in that area. Then they give you fair market value for your house and tell you to get off their land because you don't own the land. You only own the house. And I was like, no, I don't want 5 years now down the line, 10 years down the line where we've established ourselves and then all of a sudden we don't have our home. And so I was like, no, I want to own the land because we could always build another house on the land, but I want to own the land. And so we came out here in February, and Sarah and I walked out here, and she walked out into the center of the property, and she just stood there and she looked around and she's like, Mom. And I was like, do you like it out here? And she's like, yes. And she's like, just listen. And I was listening, and she goes, do you hear it? And I was like, yeah, I do. It was the sound of no city noises, the sound of just the wind and the earth, and you could hear the roosters and you can hear the cattle. And it was like this. And so we came into the house, not expecting it to be as big of a house as this house is. But we found out that this house was newly placed on the property in 2010, even though it is a 2005 model, but the house was purchased and placed on the property in 2010. And we knew that the house was 14 years of age at that point, technically, because of when it was placed. So we decided, you know what, this is our place. And we went and looked at 2 more other places just to see that this was it. We knew there was a couple of quirks about this place. One of them being there is no city water here. You have to haul water in. Not a problem. So we have our water hauled in. We got everything converted to electric, and we are upgrading to solar. So eventually we will be completely off grid when it comes to utility wise. We'll still of course pay for internet. But grid wise, we will be giving back into the grid versus being on the grid for utilities. So that's a big plus. But we got out here and we moved out here in May. So we haven't even been here a year yet. And in the 9 months that we've been here, almost 10 months. Well, no, we just hit 10 months. No, 9 months. We just hit 9 months. The 9 months that we've been here, we have put in a dog run that I'm absolutely horrified at. I hate it. We're redoing that over the next couple weekends. We've tore out the deck in the back because the deck broke and I fell through it. And that's because the people that we bought this from were elderly and they hadn't treated the deck in 2 years. So in the Arizona sun, it rotted a bit and I fell through. Godric is outside. He's outside with Toby. They're outside tonight. They got very dirty. So they're going to the groomers on Thursday. Toby's getting his hair cut on Thursday. He needs it so badly. And Godric needs a bath badly. So he can't be inside right now because Godric decided to play with something he shouldn't have played with, and now he stinks. Not a skunk. It wasn't a skunk, but what he decided to play with was absolutely disgusting, and he can't be in the house with the way he smells. So he can stay outside for right now. They got a nice big dog house and straw bedding. They're okay. So also, just for anybody on here, when you have a homestead, your homestead dogs, yeah, baby, what's up? I have the live stream on. Are you dressed? No. Okay, what's up? I was gonna ask you if you could make me some more turkey. I'd have to brew it, so give me a few minutes and I'll get up here and I'll make you some. Okay. All right. When you get him in, I want to see him. Yeah, that's not going to be for a while. They pretty much stay outside for the most part, only because Carlisle has a really bad allergy to the dogs and the cats. We don't have the cats anymore. But when we had the cat inside, and Carlisle loved that damn cat. But he would get blisters and everything all over his face, down his arms, all over his chest. And at first we thought it was something that he might have eaten or whatnot. And so we didn't think it was the cat, but we eliminated everything else. And then we separated him from the cat. And within 3 days, all his rash went away, the blisters went away. He looked great. And then the next day, like after he was all cleared up, we let the cat out to say hi to him, and he played with the cat and immediately blistered up again, was just covered in it. So we realized he has a really bad allergy to cats. We had Godric inside and he was trying to play with Godric, and we had the same reaction from him. His skin got all broke out, ended up with really big welted up hives. Toby doesn't shed as much, but we can't have Toby around Carlisle. Toby is 129 pounds and he doesn't know that he's 129 pounds. And we had one incident. We were outside with Carlisle and Toby was out there, and he doesn't know he's as big as he is. And he's also quite insane. He's taken me out quite a few times, but he plowed over the top of Carlisle and hurt him. And we were like, okay, nope. So Toby can't be around Carlisle because Carlisle is all of 27 pounds and Toby's 129 pounds. And that's just not a safe, not safe. So we don't intermingle the two of them. There's just no way. Like size wise, Toby just doesn't get it that he's as big as he is. He also knocks me over when I'm trying to like brush him and take care of him. So now we just take him to get shaved. Now, once I have him on his lead, when I put his head halter on, he's fine. It's when I try to like walk him, like walk him, like if he had a harness on, yeah, no, there's no way. That dog's taking me for a ride. That's scary. Oh, getting stung by ants. Oh God, ants hurt so bad. No way. No, we are not getting goats. And here, I'll give you a couple of reasons why. Goats mean, one, you got to feed them and they're expensive to feed. Two, you got to make sure that you have the proper vet set up for them. And that's expensive. And three, if you're going to have the females, you need to make sure that you're milking them. If you're, once, and they got to have kids, which means you got to breed them to keep milk production, because once the babies aren't there anymore, mom's not making milk anymore. So if you want to continue to receive milk from your goats, you got to keep having kids from your goats. And I also do not like goat meat. And I'm just, it's not something we're going to eat. And we're not going to use goat milk because for me, I love goat cheese. Okay, so I like making goat cheese and making feta. It's great. I love it. Not enough to put in all the work that goes with having goats. Now, that being said, we will hire goats to come out to do a yard cleanup every now and again, which is going to be great. We're also not going to have any cattle. They are excruciatingly expensive to provide for, and we're not at that stage yet. And Carlisle can't drink milk, and neither can Sarah. So because neither of them can have milk, it would just be pointless to have a cow. So not going to do that. I can't eat beef, so it wouldn't be us raising a beef cattle either. So that would just be off the table. We would love to have a horse or two. We just, like I said, the vet cost to have a vet out, a farrier out. You've got you got to make sure you have somebody that's going to come out to help you learn all the things that go with riding and corralling, all that kind of stuff, and pasturing and all that. We just don't have that kind of space. We have 2.5 acres, but horses need quite a bit more than that. And we're not going to do that. So that's going to be off the table. Now, if we can buy these other 3 lots behind us, that'll give us 10 acres and we'd totally have the space. But right now we're just not at that point. So we're starting small. So we have our pigs. Those are strictly for us. Now, when the piglets are born, we will sell piglets. Now, our piglets will sell for a set price, depending on which way they're going to swing. So if somebody's going to purchase a pig, a female for breeding purposes, so that they can raise pigs for themselves, then we sell it at a certain price. If they're going to purchase a male for butcher, it'll be at a certain price, and that piglet will be castrated at literally just a week old. So all males will be castrated. Now, if someone needs a male that they're going to, because they need to extend on their farm and add a new gene pool, then that will cost something different. So depending on, we will actually separate. So we will have 2 other pens built by that point, but we're not at that point yet. But we will have 2 other pens built. One will have our castrated males, and the other pen will have our intact males. Our intact males will sell for one price. Our castrated males will sell for a different. Female pigs, we don't fix them. They're either going to be raised by somebody and butchered, or they're going to be raised by somebody and will, be impregnated for process, for production. And your grandson, Carlisle has a protein allergy, so a dairy protein allergy. Sarah is just straight allergic to cow's milk. She always has been. So she doesn't eat like milk products. So we found that out when she was an infant. For me, I just don't drink milk. One, I hate the taste of milk. I don't know how anybody drinks milk. Now we use usually like a, what do you call it? A lactose-free dairy product if I have to for baking purposes, because then you bake it down, you should be okay. But Carlisle has been starting to be introduced to some dairy by his doctor to see if he's going to outgrow the protein allergy. He doesn't have just a milk allergy, like it's the protein that's in it. So the dairy protein is what gets him. So we're slowly introducing to see how he does. So far, not the best. But Sarah is just straight allergic. So she gets really bad rashes and hives and breaks out. And yeah, it's really, really bad. So we just kind of avoid it pretty much altogether. There's other alternatives than to use dairy and stuff. So we have other avenues for things. We don't use soy because soy is really not all that great for you. So we don't really use soy milk. It's just not recommended. But anyhow, so with the pigs, that will be, put it this way, when she has a litter and we sell the litter, versus the ones we keep, that will pay for their food, literally their food cost for the whole year. So whatever piglets we sell will cover our food cost. And then with the chickens, for the most part, I won't be selling eggs. I know people will be like, why not? because right now we only, right now we only have 10 hens. Now we're hoping that the 16 eggs hatch and that they would all be hens, but that the likelihood of that is very slim. We have 16 eggs in there. I'm going to guess that by the time we get to hatch day, we'll have 10. That's about right where we usually set. And so I'm going to guess that we'll have several that are just not fertilized, and we'll have a couple that will halt development partway through. That just, it happens. It's expected. It's not like, oh, I got 16 eggs and I'm going to have 16 chickens. That's not usually how it works. So with the 8 that are already in there, I'm not going to show you guys right now, only because it is lights out and we don't disturb them once lights are out, because we will have a screaming mess from the chickies. So they are lights out. They're sleeping. But out of that 8 that are in there, I just have this real sneaky suspicion on 2 of them that they're actually roosters, possibly a third. So I'm going to just round it out and say we possibly have 4 roosters in there and 4 hens. 2 of them are just such little sweethearts. I'm pretty sure they're hens. But they're still really too young to tell. And because they're backyard mixes, you can't use some of the other little, like with certain purebred chickens, you can tell, because like sex-linked chickens, you can tell because there's certain traits. That's why they're called sex-linked, because you will know whether they're male or female by something specific in their breed when they're born. Oh, he's doing fantastic. Actually, I talked to him earlier today. But so we don't have anything like that. Now I have Rhode Island Reds, and you can't tell with them while they're babies whether they're boy or girl. You won't be able to tell with them until they're at least 8 weeks of age, before your cockerels will really become noticeably like male, and your hens or pullets, because they're not hens yet until they start laying, pullets you will have, like, you'll know by the time they're about 8 weeks old. There are some breeds where you can tell by their wing shape at like hatch, so like at 2 days old. But after that, you know, and that doesn't work with all breeds either. And then there's some breeds that you can tell just strictly by their leg color. But those are what we would be called sex-linked. And none of what we raise have that. So we have, as of right now, I have 2 Dominics in there, or what they call barred rocks. So 2 Dominics in there. He's actually doing good. I was actually FaceTiming him before I went live with you guys. So yeah, he's doing really, really good. So I have 2 Dominics in there. We have 2 Americanas in there. We have 2 Rhode Island Reds in there. And then I have, I'm going to guess 2 Easter eggers, because of the way that they're colored. The one is stunningly beautiful, and Sarah has so ever sweetly named her Chickpea. I'm pretty sure that's a female. We won't know for another couple weeks. I will be really sad if Chickpea ends up being a male, because Chickpea is absolutely a sweetheart. Sits on my arm the whole time I'm in there. Like, I'll be in there getting their food and everything, and that little chickie just sits right here on my arm, which is one reason why I've got little scrapes and stuff from their little nails. But not because they're trying to be mean, just because purchasing on skin isn't always the funnest. But Chickpea and Tater Tot, I think Tater Tot is a boy though. Tater Tot stands and stares at me like sideways and is like, looks at you like, what? And we call that the stink eye. And usually only roosters do that. And I have a feeling that Tater Tot is like the smallest, littlest, tiniest little chicken in that group. And came out literally half the size of the other chicks. And now is pretty close to catching up, but not quite. Tonks, but yes, Tonks was my baby. I have his ashes sitting right over here behind the TV. Yeah, that was my baby. I miss him. I talk about him a lot, and how he would have been a fantastic dog to have here on the farm. I call it the farm. It's a homestead, but I call it the farm. But when our chickens have eggs and start laying eggs, my thing is I want eggs that we're going to have for our refrigerator, eggs that we're going to sort to pick like our best ones for hatching. And then the other ones I want to put together to give to my 2 cousins and my aunt. Possibly a 3rd cousin. I don't know if she's gonna want any. I'll have to ask her, but I want to be able to take eggs to my family and whatnot. So when I process the chickens tomorrow, I'm going to take one of them to my aunt. She thought I was bringing her a chicken, an actual. I was like, I'm not. Why would I bring you a living chicken to your apartment? Sorry, but that crap made me laugh so hard. I was like, why would I do that to you? I would not bring you a live chicken. But yeah, we had a good laugh at that one. I was like, oh my God. No, we will not be doing that. For 2 reasons. One, because I have a 129-pound insane animal outside. And I have a 17-pound lunatic who wants to kill any other dog that's around, including Toby. He is constantly going after Toby. And it's all the time. It is so frustrating to deal with. He's all of 17 pounds and thinks he is a killer. But yeah. And with Toby, we have so much work to do with him that he can't run free. He will kill the chickens. He's already tried to jump in the pig pen. He learned his lesson. The pigs will eat him, whether he's 129 pounds or not. The 2 of them teaming up against a big dog like him, he didn't stand a chance. So that was fun. And he immediately tried to break into the chicken coop when he saw that there was chickens. So that was a fun wrestling match. So with them being outdoors, they are locked in a locked dog run, which I absolutely hate that dog run. I just despise it. So we tore out the deck, and we will be fencing in that space back there. So that way I can let the dogs in and out through the sliding glass door and not have to worry about them taking off when I go to put them in the dog run, and going after the chickens. Because at some point, my chickens will be free range. And we need to know that when they're free ranging, that my dogs are contained and will not kill my livestock. Because that's the last thing you want, is your livestock being killed by your supposed to be guardian dog. But Toby, for the most part, stays outdoors. 2 reasons. He can come in. We bring him in every now and again into the kitchen area. They can't come past that because of the baby. And the biggest reason too, as you guys know, Toby has incontinence in his bladder. So when he's inside, he has to wear a belly band belt thing on him to catch his urine, which requires 2 to 3 changings a day when he's inside. So we try not to keep him indoors for too long, because it will cause him to get a really bad irritation, because his hair will get wet from wearing the belly band all day, and he gets rashes on his underbelly around his sheath. And so that's not fair to him. So for the most part, he stays outdoors. We bring him in when it gets super, super cold out. So like tomorrow night, it's supposed to get down to 32. So they both will be inside in their kennels overnight. One, because it'll allow Toby to lay without the belly band on, even though his bed will get a bit wet. It'll be better for his bed to be a bit wet versus urine sitting against his skin all night. So yeah. And he's also getting groomed not tomorrow, but the next day. So Thursday, so tomorrow night he'll be inside, and then he's going to get groomed on Thursday. So it'll work out, because then it's going to go back up to 55 again. And like I said, they've got a really nice dog house, and they've got really good straw bedding. So people need to not panic. We live in Arizona. They're not going to freeze. And it's also just for the baby's sake, and for our sanity, and for poor Toby's skin. them being outdoors is a better situation. They're in a covered outdoor kennel, which, like I said, I still hate that thing. I don't like the setup, but it suffices for right now. And it's huge. It's just, it's so hard to get the proper cleaning done with it. And because we do have it covered to protect them and to protect Godric, because, you know, his little 17-pound butt thinks that he's tough and will try to challenge any coyotes. And he thinks he's tough enough to challenge the burros, who, by the way, if you watched earlier, I talked about the fact that they hang out by our yard. And yes, I did go get the manure. They hang out all night by our fence line. And every morning we get up to a good donation from them. So I go out there and I scoop it into our yard and put it in the compost. So, I mean, they're going to leave it there. I might as well take it. So, yeah. But Toby thinks that he's big enough to challenge them. He might be, but I think a good swift kick from one of them will teach him a quick lesson. But Godric wouldn't stand a chance. And he thinks he can. He sure thinks he's big enough to challenge the burros and the coyotes. So, yeah, he would just be dinner. So they're in a covered run that keeps them contained. It's a 6-foot-tall run to keep them inside. And it is 26 foot. 26 foot by 10 foot. No, 26 foot by 12 foot. That's why we got the 20 by 12 thing. But it's 26 feet long and it is 12 feet wide. And then they have that entire space and it's covered. And then they have a big dog house in there. Like, I ended up having to order that thing, special order it and have it delivered. Got that here. And let me just tell you what, when you buy something that big, make sure you actually have a second set of hands to help you put that crap together. Got it together and whatnot. And then ordered big, huge bales of straw and put that in there. So straw is really good bedding to keep animals warm. It holds and retains heat really, really well. And they're also covered around the sides, so it gives them that block from any kind of breezes. So they've got circulation in there from up top, so they have ventilation, and then they have the cover, so that way the low-lying areas, it's nice and warm for them. So we did take all those precautions, so if anybody's just like, oh my God, you know, they're well provided for. But yeah. So Toby has a lot of training to go through before he'll ever even be remotely considered allowed around our birds. He's already killed our neighbor's pigeons. She's like, don't worry about it. I was like, yeah, but like, I got to make sure he's not killing birds, because he's killing birds means he's gonna, we can't have him killing our birds. So trying to teach him to leave the birds alone, even the pigeons, whatever birds land in the yard, leave them be. Just leave them alone. And don't try to challenge the pigs again. Like, seriously. So yeah, we want to continue to hatch out and raise up hens. The one thing that we've noticed, especially around here where we live, a lot of people put up on the, you know, the Facebook board and stuff. Hey, you know, in this area, anybody have laying hens? Anybody have hens that are ready to start laying? Anybody got laying pullets? Anybody have female hens? You know, female chickens, hens. We're looking for laying hens. They don't want baby chicks, and they don't want to raise them from baby chicks, because out here you can't just stick them outside when they don't have their feathers. You got to have them indoors. By the way, I'll touch on that here in just a second. So a lot of people want them to already be at the age where they're ready to start laying eggs, so they can skip the whole doing the work part. So if I can raise up hens that are of laying age and they're doing great. Now, we have a couple in my flock right now that are cruising for a bruising right now of my females that are absolutely rude. They are the rudest girls, and they're quite mean. And I'm like, you know, if you don't mind having a couple of rude little hens that you're that are ready to lay eggs, here's a couple. But yeah, those girls, when we get ones raised up to laying age, we can sell them at like $30 a hen, because that goes back into the money and the whatnot that you put in to raising them to get them to that point. And then you can sell them to someone and be like, okay, I did all that work. That'll put back in my pocket for all the work I did that you got to avoid. Now you get to take your chicken home, you buy her feed, you do all the things that you do, and you've got eggs within, a week or two of her arriving at home, and getting settled in. So there's that idea that we can do, which will put back into raising more hens, but also will allow us to pick and choose our flock and keep a flock of really well-mannered chickens that allow us to continue to produce better hens and better chickens. No, not right now, Jesse. I have no intentions of looking into a service dog right now. We have our plate full when it comes to especially dogs. Right now, in all honesty, had I not had the commitment to the two that I have, I wouldn't have any dogs right now. Godric's 9 years old, almost 10. He'll be 10 in September. And Toby will be 2 in June. I'm really hoping he turns that damn corner at 2 and starts to really behave better. But he is a loose cannon. We even took him to the training classes down the road here. And that was a hot mess. And because he is so big, me, because of my bad hips and my bad knee, I can't physically handle him. We never expected that Toby would be as big as he is. We got him because we thought he'd reach 75 pounds, right? We were like, okay, we need a dog that would be about 75 pounds when he's full grown. As you guys know, I got him because I thought I would have him trained as a service dog. He flunked out of that. One, because of his bladder and the incontinence issue. You can't have a dog that's literally peeing all over everything. So you can't take him into a store. You can't take him into a restaurant. You can't take him even in the car without properly putting a band on him and all that whatnot. So he failed that portion because he has no bladder control. So that was a big nope. I was planning on, when he was younger, when we realized he had the bladder issue, to rehome him. However, realizing because of his bladder issue, there was nobody that was going to want to take a dog with a chronic medical condition that would require constant care. And so that ended up being a big nope. And so we kept him. I made a commitment to him from the get, even though he was supposed to strictly be because of, a service animal, and that went down the tubes. Then he continued to still get bigger and bigger and bigger, and way past what any of us thought would ever happen. He is so big that we had him DNA tested, because the people that we got him from, who supposedly sell these dogs for service animals, told us that he was a husky poodle mix. We took him in and had blood work done and found out that he is not a husky poodle mix. He is a Irish Wolfhound. He's Irish Wolfhound, Rottweiler, and Pit Bull mix, or what they called, not Pit Bull, but Staffordshire. So Staffordshire mix, which are a bit smaller in stature than a Pit Bull. But anyway, so those three are like his top things. Then he has husky in there, and he does have some poodle in there. But like way on the other end and way tiny amount. And he even has corgi in there. It's way funny. So we were like, where did that part come in? But anyway, his dominant breed is way up at the top is Irish Wolfhound, which, by the way, are massive dogs. So the vet was like, well, that makes more sense because, whoa, he's huge. And every time we would come in, he would just get, he'd gain another 10, 15 pounds. And the vet's like, there's no way this dog is what they're telling you he is. So we, like I said, so we ordered the DNA testing on him, and we were shocked because, yeah. And I sent the results over to the people that we got him from, and he was like, what? That makes no sense. And he's like, because this is, you know, this is the dad and this is the mom. And I'm like, okay, I get that that's dad and mom, you know, whatnot, but your dog, your male clearly has other, like their male, when they sent us pictures of their male dog, like his dad, his sire, there's no way that dog is husky and poodle mix. When you look at him, all you see is Irish Wolfhound, though he's small in stature. Toby puts his sire to shame size-wise. His dad is really, really like probably like 70 pounds max. And then his uncle looks exactly like Toby, looks wise. Like they look identical when you put them side by side. So you know where he gets his looks from is from his bloodline, from his dad's side. But his uncle is 75, 80 pounds, but identical looking. So you would almost think that he was Toby's dad. But Toby is 129 pounds. When he stands next to me, and I'm 5 foot tall, he stands next to me and his shoulders come to my hip. His head, when he's just standing next to me without having to jump up or anything, his top of his head sits right here at my chest. So he comes up to me and I can just scratch him like this. And he doesn't even have to jump up. He just walks up to me and I just scratch him by his ears. He's massive. This dog is huge. And he's going to the groomer's on. She was like, I called her because she was like, the last time I groomed him, he was 97 pounds. And I was like, yeah, he's 129. She goes, good God, is he done growing? And I said, I think he's done growing. He hasn't changed weight in 3 months now. So I think he's finally plateaued out. I think we're at his full size, even though he doesn't turn 2 until June. So he may hit one more growth spurt. Please, God, no. I really hope not. I'm hoping he's done. But like I said, he'll be 2. Godric is 9, almost 10. So I think for right now, we're good on the doggos for now. Like that game we're done. So here's the thing I was going to tell you guys about with chickens. So a lot of people, if you decide that you want to raise chickens and you want to go get chickies from, let's say, Tractor Supply or your local person that's giving away chickies, not giving away, they sell baby chicks. And do yourself, first of all, a big favor. Never, ever, 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 never get just one chick. Any place that's willing to sell you just one chick, absolutely not. That's someone you don't want to be buying chicks from. Always, always have 3 or more. Now, here's why. They don't do well by themselves. Ask me how I know. I had one that hatched that is, like, we had a whole clutch of eggs. We had a big system failure with our first incubator that had a massive defect we're not aware of. It ended up killing all of our chickens. We had one successfully hatch in that entire grouping. We had like 19 eggs. We had one chick that made it. Her first entire week, she had no other chicks with her. We had the other set in the incubator a week behind her date, because we had to order a new incubator to save the next set of chicks when the other incubator had a massive failure. And so we were able to save the ones that we saw that still had life, and then we got them to the other incubator. She was the only one that hatched from the very first clutch of eggs. And for an entire week, I walked around with this chick in a critter cuddler and stuff, and she cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and made so much noise, and was very distressed. I'm shocked she survived the week, a whole 7 days as a lone baby chick. They do not do well on their own. When the other ones finally hatched and were ready to go in the brooder box, she could not have been happier. She was just chirpy and finally had other chicks with her, and she blended right in with that group and was a blessing. So that's the first thing. Never ever get less than 3. Then the other thing, they can't be outdoors until they're fully feathered, because they cannot, and I repeat, cannot regulate their body temperature in the beginning. So they need 99-degree heat in the first week. 99 degrees, okay? You hear me, right? 99. Then you can take it down by 5 degrees. So we always just go ahead and say 95 in their second week. And then you can take 5 degrees down again in their third week and go down to 90. By the time they are 5 weeks of age, you can take away the heat lamp. So by the time they're 5 weeks old, you can take away the heat lamp, and you can make sure that the ambient air around them is at least 75 degrees, which is what we have the house at here. My babies are 3 weeks old tomorrow, and they have a heat source that's running in there. So I have a lamp that they have during the day, but at night we turn that off and we have the heat source in the room to keep the closet space heated. So right now, the house is 75 degrees, but that closet, when I open it, it's like, poof, it is sitting at 80 degrees in that closet right now. And that is so that my chicks will stay nice and toasty and warm. We did have it at 90, but they seem to all be like splayed out. So you kind of watch your baby chicks. They'll let you know if they're too hot or too cold. If they're all huddled together on top of each other, they're too cold. If they're all spread away from each other and laying kind of flat with their wings spread out, that's because they're too warm. So when I checked them last night, they were a little bit too warm, so we lowered the temperature down. And because we also live in the desert and the temp is quite warm here anyway, they're doing fantastic. But if you live in some of the colder climates, you really need to be careful with baby chicks. And another thing, as they start to get their feathers, here's something you probably aren't aware of. Now, at first, I thought it was the bedding causing this issue. And then I thought, no, it's got to be the food. It's got to be because they eat crumble causing this issue. No, this is because of their wings coming in. And because they're getting their wings in, they have they shed, right? They shed all this stuff off of them. As they lose their little fluff, their little fluffy down, they start to get feathers. And as their feathers mature and come in and grow and get bigger and whatnot, they get these stuff that sheds off of their body, which produces this dust, this fine, misty, ever so perfect dust. And it gets on everything. So my little space right there confines them to that area. And every morning before I do their food and everything, their water and whatnot, everything in there, walls and floor, and I'm talking the walls of the actual room, everything gets wiped down with a wet microfiber. I take that microfiber cloth through there, I wipe everything down. I pull every little inch of dust out of that space. Because if you don't, it just takes you walking in there and stirring it up if it's like 2 or 3 days. Believe me, ask me how I know. My very first hatching and dealing with them the very first time around, I was not aware of what was causing all of that dust buildup. And I kept trying to figure out what I should do with it. And then I would vacuum it. And then it was just everywhere. Learned my lesson, did some more research into it, learned what it was. And now I know to make sure that I wipe every inch of their area out. That's why they're in that small confined space. This allows me to confine the mess to that space, but also still gives them the proper space to grow and stuff for their first 8 weeks. So usually I've seen so far that my chickens are usually fully feathered by 6 weeks old and are ready to go to the integration station outside by 6 weeks. So in 3 more weeks, these guys will be ready and I can do a full wipe down and cleanup of the entire area and be ready for the next chicks that will be hatching in that time frame. So, and we even have the second little brooder box all set up for the turkey and the one little chicken that's going to go with the turkey. So wish us luck on that. Sarah would like a chai tea, so I got to go out there and brew some tea up. Yes, my babies still come to mom when they want something that they love to have, that they know mom makes absolutely perfected. So today I made chai tea, vanilla chai tea, and it was 100 times better than anything we've gotten from Starbucks or from the Human Bean. So I have learned how to make home brewed vanilla chai, and it is perfection. So gonna go do that. And I also made a homemade pizza today, and Sarah and I were in heaven having that earlier, so that was nice. But anyway, guys, you are fantastic. I'll get on here, we'll hit some more stuff up about homesteading and the things that we're doing. I'll also go through some of the stuff with you guys about processing. I'm gonna learn the proper full processing thing tomorrow, because that'll be like the first one that we had done. My neighbor kind of helped me get that one taken care of, because that was kind of an emergency situation. So they just went ahead and did that deed and did the whole processing thing and brought me the chicken. So this time around, I'm going to be hands-on involved, because these 4 boys, I should say 3 of these boys, I really do adore. However, I just can't see keeping any of them to put with hens with how brutal they are to the girls. They may outgrow that at some point, but there's just no chancing that. When it comes to roosters, there's just too many good roosters out there to deal with ones that could cause harm to your flock. And that's another thing about the backyard chicken groups, that really have like you should, rehome them or whatever. And it's like, I'm not going to take a rooster that I know is violent or aggressive with the hens or with people and give it to somebody who, 1, could get attacked by it, who didn't raise it, and 2, who could possibly have children who could get severely injured by a rooster. Or to have them take a rooster and put it with their flock only to have it maim or kill one of their hens. So there's too many, like my neighbor said the same thing. They've been doing this for well over 5 years. There are too many really good roosters out there who are well-mannered, well-behaved, and are gentle with their females, to deal with aggressive roosters. So if you end up with an aggressive rooster who, they don't necessarily have to be aggressive towards you, but if they're aggressive with the girls, you stress your girls out and they stop laying and become egg bound, and then you have dead hens because your roosters are aggressive. So just a heads up, on this page, on this YouTube channel, our roosters, especially any that come out to be aggressive, will be put in freezer camp. They will be part of our dinner plate. So we will process roosters here, and at some point down the road, our dual purpose hens will eventually feed us. Well, they'll feed us eggs first, and then they will be processed out to allow new younger hens to come into place for egg laying. So it'll be a cycle, and that's part of homesteading, is you become self-sufficient in those areas. And I would be more prefer to have my food source, our protein source, being self-sufficient and whatnot, and continue, of course, to shop our local stores for all of our other essentials that we need on the farm. So you guys are fantastic. I will see you guys maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Like, don't hold me to that. I'm really trying to be more aware about putting information out here, because we are homesteading and I am building this from the ground up. So be patient with me as I am learning the entire process. And I want to share what I'm learning as we go. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.